Welcome back to another episode of Civil After Six. I am so very excited to have one of the Carolina girls, even though she's on the other coast now, come and join me this evening. I have Heather Black. Heather, I'm so excited to have you. How are you today?
I am awesome. I am so excited to be here. I am a Carolina girl living in a Las Vegas world, just trying to put some Southern hospitality out here in this neon world.
I love it. Is that your tagline? I love this.
Yeah, it should be.
That really needs to be the tagline. I'm the Carolina girl in the neon world trying to, yes. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that's amazing. Well, I am so glad to have you. If you all are new to my channel, Sybil After Six is dedicated to helping women who are faith-driven kingdom builders collectively come together so we can do what God has called us to do. And each episode is geared towards helping us be better business leaders, better women, better humans all around. So Heather calls herself the detail wrangler. And I'm like, okay, I love this number one, but number two, how did you settle on that title? Because I'm all about a brand statement, and that's a pretty powerful one.
So I decided on it because I was trying to come up with something that like kind of succinctly says what I do in a nutshell. And, squirrel herder and cat herder didn't really seem to fit. But I was like, what do I really do? And what I really do is help people take all the details of that back end stuff of your events and your speaking and wrangle it into an organized fashion so you know exactly what you need to be doing this week, today, this hour. And so it's not overwhelming and you're not like, did I send that email? Have I done the thing? What am I supposed to do next? And it's all just tied up neatly with a rope, with a bow, if you prefer a bow, whatever you need tied up, and I can do that. And it feels good.
Lasso.
Yeah, get that
Because
lasso
of
going.
Texas. Lasso those details. I love
Yes,
this. How long have you been in the event industry?
for over 25 years.
That's
A very long time.
that is amazing. So your business has been in existence for 25 years, or you've been in industry for 25 years?
No, I've been in the industry for 25 years. My business, it will be 3 years old in November. Yeah, so this is not something that I had ever planned for myself, but this was something God had planned. And he started talking about it in 2020, and I just laughed and said, yeah, I don't think you mean
Thank
me,
you.
but thank you. Appreciate the suggestion, and went on about my business. And he was serious, and so in 2022 I got serious about it myself. I was like, this is not going away. This is what he really intends for me. And now with hindsight I can look back and see how everything that happened up to that point, right, led to this and led to where I am today. But it has been a journey to get here for sure.
Absolutely. I think so many of us, and I talk about my journey a lot as well, but like when God interrupts you, what do you do? How did God interrupt you, and what made you finally decide that you were going to go ahead and step out there on faith?
Yeah, so the first, well, obviously the biggest interruption was 2020, right? Like when COVID happened, and I went from working 50, 60, 70 hours weeks and doing all the things for a nonprofit that I work for, and like had a minute to pause, right? We were very, very blessed that we were all able to keep our jobs, but obviously we were doing it very differently. And so being able to take that pause and be like, wait, now we're only working 32, 30, 40 hours a week. I have time to like do things that I enjoy. I can take care of myself and I'm not just, so burned out. And I was like, this is really nice. And so he kind of used that little moment in time where thing paused and was like, and I think you could do this for yourself. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know anything about that. And, I'm approaching 50 years old and I have to think about retirement and 401ks. And that sounds really like sketchy to me.
That sounds sketchy. I love this.
I don't think so. And so, obviously the world turned back on, and I had hoped that my job would have learned something, about the work-life balance we had all experienced. And that's just not how it works sometimes in the corporate world. And so he literally used a pigeon in the road. He made me go get a pigeon out of the I saw this little injured pigeon and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I help your pigeon? And he said, go get it out of the road. And I was like, you want me to do what now? And so I parked my car and I had to walk back to where the pigeon was. And the whole time I'm saying, well, what am I going to do with this injured pigeon? Like, I know nothing about pigeons. I don't have a box. I don't have a towel. It's just me and my car keys and a cell phone, right? And he's like, just get the pigeon out of the road. And I was like, you keep saying that. But what does that mean? What am I going to do next? I have to know what to do next. You want me to just leave it on the sidewalk? That doesn't seem very helpful, right? And so when I get back to the pigeon, this poor little pigeon, he was so terrified. He looked like he was just in like just like he knew any minute now. Like he was like shaking and he looked so scared. And I was like, and I look, pigeon, I gotta get you out of the road. And I don't know what's gonna happen next, but don't you peck me, okay? We're gonna figure it out. Like I'm literally, so I'm not lying, standing in a road talking to a
Talking to the
pigeon.
pigeon. I love this for you.
And so I'm like, I'm thinking I'll just gently touch the pigeon, get him kind of used to that, and then I'm gonna scoop him up on the sidewalk and I'll figure it out from there because God certainly didn't tell me what's next, right? Like it's
Right.
just get the pigeon out of the road. I touched this pigeon and this pigeon flew away,
Oh,
away. Out across the road, over the wall, over the houses, out of sight, gone. And I'm standing in the road going, what just happened? And God said, I told you to just get the pigeon out of the road. You don't have to have all the steps. You just need to take the first one.
ooh.
And I said, you mean like with my business? And he said, exactly like that.
Oh gosh.
And I said, oh,
I've talked to so many women that okay, I've talked to so many women who say they have seemingly coincidental experiences. Like one of the other ladies I talked to said a rock hit her windshield. Now, rocks hitting windshields are pretty regular on the eye, whatever number you're on.
uh-huh.
And she said, no, the way the rock hit it and the way the song came on the radio after the rock hit and then it, and she was like, and I just knew that that was God. And so how does God talk to you? Because I tell people, like, sometimes God's very auditory for me, sometimes it's music. How does God direct you to take that next step, especially when it comes to your business?
Yeah, he shows up where you are. So I have learned every morning I take time with God. I do my Bible, my devotion, I do my prayer, and I have learned that God knows better than I do what I need to do every day. And so I'm a list maker. Obviously, I'm a detail wrangler. I'm a planner. That's what I do. But I have learned to go to God every day and say, here's my list of what I think I'm supposed to do today. You tell me what I actually need to do. Is there anything that I don't need to focus on? Is there anything I do need to focus on? And just listening for him to give that direction. And he's really funny because almost every day he'll remind me what I need to take out of the freezer, right? Like, don't forget to take, like, that's one of his things is that this little joke thing that he does. It's not a joke because I do need to take the chicken out of the freezer, right?
You need to eat dinner later.
Yeah, because we gotta eat, then we gotta eat dinner. But just taking that pause and listening to what he has to say. But I'll have him show up and I'm playing Air One almost every day when I'm working, and he'll show up in a song. He'll show up, I'll pop over to Instagram and there's immediately a post that's like whatever I'm struggling with right now that is speaking directly to that. Somebody will randomly message me. It'll be somebody I'm having a call with and it'll be something that they say. He uses where you are to send you those messages.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I have a standing weekly check-in with God on Monday mornings. I'm like, okay, God, what are we doing this week? And to just honor the process and learn how to be still, I think is probably one of the most humbling experiences that we can have as women in business, but also just really human because we do want to control everything. We want to wrangle all the details. We want to have our figure it out, but that's not what God's called us to do when he's the CEO. So
Yeah. And the other thing I've learned is that my timing and his timing, we are so it's so different. And it's really hard, particularly for business owners, when you're in a season where you're waiting for that breakthrough to come, right? You're waiting on the promises that he's made about the business or promises he's made. And you're like, but I'm doing all the things you told me to do. What's happening? And I have learned that he is using that time to hone you and prune you and grow that faith and develop that faith in you that you are going to need to be that kingdompreneur that he has designed you to be, because that is a serious responsibility.
Yes.
And you have got to have that faith so deeply rooted in him. Like your hope has to be in him. Your direction has to come from him. And that doesn't happen overnight, you know. And I'm pretty sure my minister that his whole minister team at my church, that they just follow me around so they can come up with the service for the next week. Just follow her and see what's happening in her life, and that's how you're gonna do, because every week there's like some, like this last Sunday, I literally, they even had a guest minister who I was like, I didn't even know she knew who I was, but apparently she did, because I was in tears. Like it was the exact message I needed to hear. And it really is about understanding that his timing and our timing are totally different. Like I wish he would get in the central time zone, but that is not happening.
Or East Coast or whatever. It's okay, God, it's your time.
Right, right.
Oh my goodness. I was talking to someone speaking about breakthroughs, and there's always this question as people in business, but again, we're talking to women here. Do I take this client because I really need the money, or do I not take this client because it doesn't align with my values, the work I'm doing, the brand, the message? But should I take this client? What would you say to that? Because I know we've always, we all have gone through that. I've gone through my own seasons of that as well. What was your process for that decision?
Yeah, I wish I would say that I've always just turned to him and listened to what he said, but there's been times that I've allowed that human side of myself that I really need this money and I'll just make this work. And it never works out. It always ends up being the client that is the hardest to work with, or the client that cancels the contract, or the client that stiffs you on the invoice, right? Like it's just one of those things. And I think it's a lesson that you just have to go through to understand
Yeah.
that you're not in charge. And if you step off, and hey, I'm that 100th sheep that he's constantly coming to get. He's constantly leaving the other 99, right? I gotta go get Heather again. I don't know. She's over there in the brambles in a thorn bush again today. It's only Tuesday. We've done this 3 times. So I'm just real about it, but it really, I have just learned to just listen, just
Yeah.
pause and listen. And the hard part is when he gets quiet,
Yes.
right? When he's not speaking, when you can't hear him and you're like, am I doing something wrong? And something that I learned recently from that is that a lot of times when he's quiet, it's because he's working on something. And sometimes he's working because the devil is working to keep you from being successful. And so he is in battle for you, because the devil knows if you are successful as a kingdompreneur, you're going to make a difference, and he's going to do everything in his power. So if that breakthrough is delayed, if it's not on your time, sometimes it's because the devil's working. And you
Oh,
have to just keep walking in faith. You gotta dig in deep.
yeah.
It's like climbing a mountain. If you've ever gone hiking up a steep hill, if you've climbed Mount Everest, if you've done any of those things, when you start getting to the peak, when you start getting to the top, it gets harder, right? You got to really dig in and keep going up that hill, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. The oxygen gets thinner. But you've really got to dig in and keep going, because if you give up, you're never going to get to that pinnacle and see what he had planned for you.
I think in those still moments, first, that is so good. I think in those still moments, what I have learned about myself is number one, it reminds me to take a step back and say, am I serving in the spirit? Because sometimes God's being quiet because I had not been listening. I'm not obedient. I veered off course. He's waiting for me, like a parent does at the store. No, no, no. You take your time. We're not buying any candy today. I'll wait for you because you've got this awareness. You know what, God, you're sure right. Let me learn how to condition myself to turn back around or abort mission or turn left. So that's one thing that I've learned is like, Sybil, are you even following directions? God is waiting for you so he can keep you going. And you decided to take a left turn when he told you keep straight. And then number two, am I remembering to serve first? Because in those seasons when we are waiting for breakthrough or we're waiting for that next contract, it can be really easy to start serving from self instead of like pointing outward. And so in those moments, what I've learned is let me go volunteer. Let me go pray for someone. Let me go and remind myself of all of the times of gratitude that I might have overlooked because I was in a rush to get to the top of the mountain. And, I think there's just such a wisdom in the waiting, the quote unquote waiting, because even in the waiting, there's a lesson learned there.
Yo, 100%. There's a lesson learned in the waiting. And definitely, I have asked myself so many times when he gets quiet, oh, okay, how far away did I get off the path this time?
I
Right.
know I'm the problem.
Yeah, I know it's me. Sorry. And hi, it's me. I'm the problem. Right. And because he doesn't move. He doesn't move. We move.
We move.
We
Yeah,
move.
so
And
good.
yeah, and so it is this whole process has just been such a learning experience and has developed my faith in such a way that I never thought possible, but there isn't anything that I don't think he can do at this point, right? Like I'm like, I mean, and just to the example, so my mom probably 3, 4 years ago bought me a plant, and I'm not good with plants, right? Like I've killed an artificial plant. It's not good. Plants do not come in my house and live, okay? And so she bought me this plant and it flowered one time and it hasn't flowered since. And then it went dormant for a while. Like it would grow leaves, but nothing else happened. And the other day my fiance was like, "Are you sure it's not dead? Shouldn't you just throw it out?" And I'm like, "No, because sometimes they go dormant for a while, right?" And so I literally prayed over this plant. I was like, "Lord, I need this plant to grow. I need it to flower again." And so yesterday my fiance was like, "This plant over here, it's got a leaf on it." And I was like, "What?" And so I go and look, and sure enough, the leaf is growing again. He can
I
whatever he can do anything.
I love
Anything.
this. And immediately the plant started to grow.
Like
My
within
goodness.
days. And but like immediately, right? We couldn't see it for
Yeah,
several days until it grew up out of the
yeah.
soil. But he probably immediately that plant started to grow as soon as I asked. There you
That's
go.
so good. I regularly talk to the trees outside my house. I'm like, hi, trees. Thank you for the shade. Thank you for the protection. And like, Sybil, what are you doing? I'm thanking God right now because God gave these trees to me to have dominion over, to care for. And God knows that my thumb is about as brown as they come. I'm trying not to kill the tree. Right? So, like, maybe if I talk to the trees, they will stay alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been proven that if you talk to plants, if you talk to trees, that they do better. I have one that I rescued from the dumpster. His name's Ralph.
Oh, he has a name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why not, right? And so I talked to Ralph when I first rescued him, he had two leaves and he was like a mangy dog, right? He had two leaves and he had a bad case of those little mosquito gnat things. So
Yeah.
it's like bringing home a rangy dog that had fleas, right? And so for the longest time, he would lose a leaf, grow a leaf. He just had two leaves for probably about 18 months. And he's about to sprout his 10th leaf. Yeah, and so, I was like, "I don't know, Ralph, you might not make it in this house because I'm not good with plants." But I talked to him, I'll be like, "Ralph, how are you doing today? You're looking so good." And his leaves are so green and they're growing so tall. It makes a difference. They're living things, right?
They're living.
God created it. We can talk to it.
That's right. Yes, I always go out there and say, you're looking very green today. That's literally what I say to the trees. Hello, trees, you're looking very green today. And it just kind of helps them be a little bit more green. Like,
See?
yes, absolutely. I think the other thing that I wanted to talk about too, in terms of breakthroughs, though, are when you start thinking about not just how you're, serving, of course, but financially, do you ever pray for like, hey, God, I need a specific revenue number? Or, hey, God, how do you have that conversation with God?
I just have real conversations. Look, I've had people tell me, "You talk to God so weird." And I'm like, "What's weird about it?"
My mom told me, God is tired of you. You just be bending his ear all day. I'm like, he's my God, too. They
Yeah,
can stand in line.
right? Like, but I'm one of those people, like, there's no point in me not being real about it, right? If I got a bill to pay, if I got something going on, he already knows.
He already knows.
So you might as well just be honest about it and be like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill. So if you could send some blessings, send some financial blessings. And That I think is the hardest part because a lot of times, we hear the verse, God has plans to prosper you and not harm you. And so we all automatically think prosper is sometimes a financial prosper. And it's not that he doesn't intend that, but sometimes prosper means other things, right? It means blessings with your connections, blessings with your community, blessings in your family, right? There are just other things that prosper means. And so, but yeah, I will specifically say, I
Yeah.
need you, like I have accumulated some debt building this business, and I'll be like, "I need you to provide and cancel this debt." And he has a plan for it, he's already told me, because I had to pay for something on my credit card, and I was like, "Ooh, this is," and he was like, "Oh, that's nothing, don't worry about it." And I'm like, "It was okay, if you say so, but to me, it feels like it's a lot, right?" But he has a
Something.
plan. This is part of his plan. He has this plan that this business, because he's been very clear, and I asked for it. So be careful. I will say this, be careful what you ask. Be careful what you ask for. Because I asked him to grow this business and bless this business in a way that no one could think that I did this by myself. That
Yeah.
only way it happened was for it to be God
Yeah.
blessed, right? God did this. And
Yes.
so when you start asking for those kind of things, because I want my story and my business to grow his kingdom. And for that to happen, there's a walk that has to take place. And
Yeah.
so it's not gonna happen overnight. So but he has a plan for it.
So
But
good.
I gotta walk the path to get there.
So good. Yes, I prayed. It's amazing how God tells all of us to, gets us to a place where we're praying almost the same prayer. But yeah, I did. I said, God, this is yours. Like, not my will, but thy will be done. And when you
Amen.
pray when you say those kind of words, you really got to mean those because God heard you. You said it. So you can't be like, oh, I need a do over, God. Just kidding. Um, but yeah, I said, God, I want this to be honoring of you. And I think, especially for the work that I do, and I want to talk more about the work you do, if I had not gone through those seasons, I would not be able to talk to the women in the way that I do, but for the fact that I went through the thing that they're now going through. So I'm not talking about it in some abstract way. I'm saying, no, really, when it's time to dig deep, here are the 5 things you need to do, or here are the 7 things I did, or here are the 3 scriptures I read. And I think my clients really appreciate that it's not this false prophecy, but it's like, no, really here's here's the process and here's what the light on the other side looks like.
Yeah, I think that that is so, so valuable for people to hear because that is part of the process. It's not just about, I want you to go start this business and it's going to be wildly successful and you're going to make all this money because I have much bigger I don't want money just for myself. I want money for resources to provide for people in my community, right? I want to be able to do other things and make massive impact in ways that I cannot do by myself. But when you do those things, there is a process that you have to go through to be ready for that. And it allows you to witness in an entirely different way once
Yes.
you've been through that. And so I totally, and if it had been easy, if in my first 6 months I had replaced my full time income, right, I mean, would that have been amazing? Of course, it would have been amazing. But would I know what I know now? Would I be where I am now? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be fulfilling my mission, which the first 2.5 years of well, really 2 years of my business, I was doing something slightly different than what I'm doing now. And
Yeah.
now I realize that the work that I'm doing now, this is what I'm
This is
supposed to be doing. This is it. Oh, this is the thing. But all of that 2-year journey led me to that point.
yes, absolutely. And speaking of that point, because we've not exactly touched on it, even though they know you're a detail wrangler, tell us about the Phoenix collaborations. Tell us about what today looks like for you and the services you provide.
Yeah, so today the services I provide are helping kingdompreneurs and impact motivated founders, speakers, and authors implement a repeatable system so they can scale their business with speaking and events. And I have a signature process called the Phoenix Effect where we get strategic, organized, and profitable. So we focus on your who and your where and your why. And then we start putting some systems in place so you can easily do all of the things. And then we look at, is it genuinely growing your business? Is it genuinely being profitable, whatever that profit might look like, right?
Yeah.
And so it was this light bulb moment that I had last fall where I realized, because a lot of people I was helping, they didn't have this foundation and they're
Mm,
just trying to do all the things. And so I realized that was my gift, is to be able to help them strategically figure out what they needed to be doing in their business, where they needed to be speaking, what events they actually needed to be hosting, and
mm.
how to organize it and make sure it's profitable.
That's amazing. You're like the pre-me, right? You're like, okay, here's your foundation, and then I'm like, okay, come over here. Here's what a stage building system looks like afterward, right? Like, but that foundation has got to be set. And I think so often because God gives us the vision, we forget we've got to still do the level setting. I liken it to if you want to watch God work, just read Genesis, right? Like every single day, he set a foundational component of a system that we now steward. Did you do that same type of in-depth process for your business? If not, go back to that and watch. And I think in Proverbs, it literally said wisdom was setting the days as it is, right? Like literally, wisdom said before the earth was, wisdom was there to know that the foundation had to be set. So, absolutely, absolutely. My goodness, Heather, I am having such a great time talking to you today. Um,
Same.
just so when you think about the process of learning and unlearning our relationships with money, because I know
Mhm.
this is a huge topic. I recently was doing my radio show. I know a lot of people are very church hurt because they were told live a life of poverty. I was like, that's not what my Bible says. So, what have you had to learn and unlearn about money, how money works, how to be a better steward of it? What has that been for you?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of church hurt out there about that. And I'll be real, I'm still learning it, right? And
Yeah.
I think that you have to be a lifelong learner if you're going to be part of the kingdom of God, honestly,
Yes.
because you're always going to be leveling up, and that means that he's going to be growing you and you're going to be learning new things. But the thing that I have learned is that he, he will trust you with as much as you are willing to be trusted with,
Wow.
right? And so money, and it comes from money is the root of all evil. No, no, no. The worship of money,
Love. That's right.
right? The love of money. When you put money above God, but when you get that money and be like, okay, God, here's your 10% right off the top, and what do you want me to do with the rest of it? How am I spending the rest of it? Right? And you use that as your guide and you become the steward and you're filling those needs in the community that you see.
Yeah.
We have a huge homeless problem here in Las Vegas, and it just breaks my heart. And so one of the groups that I support is people that helps the homeless. And one of the things that I want to do is to take an empty casino that we have here. It's been empty since 2020, and turn it into home housing for the homeless, right?
That's the circus, because that was almost a ghost town when I was there 20 years ago.
No, Circus is still going pretty strong, but it's down almost in Henderson. And but yeah, but and that's a whole problem. That's a big vision that
Yeah.
I cannot do by myself. And so I'm waiting for God to introduce me to the right people and provide. But it's about understanding that he never said you had to live in poverty. If you look at you look at his biggest examples in the Bible, and Joseph and Solomon, and these people did not live. These were people that he blessed and blessed and blessed and blessed, and they turned around, took those blessings, and blessed others.
Correct. 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 I
So,
think it's so good because God gave me this supersized vision, and I thought, and again, please, challenge me here. I thought I was going to be afraid of it, but it was such a peaceful vision. And I felt so blessed that he would think enough of me to carry out that part of the vision.
oh, I love that. That gives me chills. when he first gave me the vision for the casino, I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? You want me to do that? What am I?" And again, it goes back to the whole, and I'm learning. I'm a slow learner. I gotta be. I mean, right? And so
Hey, we got
he
to drag you out the wilderness
yeah.
in the 99 and you're the one.
Yeah, I'm out there in the wilderness, and but I tell him like he'd be like, "You so stubborn." I'm like, "Well, you made me in your image, so I don't know what to say to you." Right?
Okay, I want to pause for a second. We're gonna come back to this. I also have a similar relationship with God where I'm very matter of fact. I'm like, you made me like this. Like you knew what
Right.
you were signing up for when you okay.
And that's the thing. That's one of the things that I've learned about his timing. Because a lot of times we get in that mindset of I'm behind, I'm late, I shouldn't have taken that left, when I should have gone straight, like he said. And the thing is, he's factored when he made this plan, he factored all of that in, right? Okay, so she's gonna go left there. We're gonna get her out of the brambles 3 times that week. Right. So he's like, I'm sure when he made the vision for my life, like he probably had a big map and string and like he was doing this whole thing, like, okay, so this is the date that we're going to get there, right? Like he had the quadratic equation out, the whole 9 yards, because he was like, this one, we're breaking the mold with because she's special.
Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. I think the other thing too is sometimes the vision is also, and I know this is something a lot of women grapple with, when you realize the vision realized doesn't look the way you thought it was going to look. And I recall, and again, weigh in on this as well. I recall not wanting to share the vision with so many people because what I realized is my vision was scaring other people and I was good with it. And and I said, well, God told me I'm gonna speak to millions. All right, I don't know where I'm gonna do this from. Okay. And then recently I signed with a radio station and I'm like, oh, that's how I'm gonna reach the millions. But it still feels so normal. It doesn't feel outside of what I would be doing anyway. And I think that's just the power of how God works. He's not going to ask you to do something outside of your character.
Right. Right. If it's outside of your character, that's not from God.
It's not from God.
Mm-mm. That's from somewhere else. So I'm not gonna
Ah,
make
you look at that. I love it. That's from the other
yeah,
people.
down there. Yeah, but no, and I think there's a lot to be said about the vision that you have and how it might present itself when it comes. Don't get locked up in your head about how you think it's going to come.
Yeah,
Just be prepared to do the walk,
do the
to
work.
take the steps that he gives you today, because when it shows up, it's probably going to be greater than anything you imagined to begin with.
Yeah,
Right. And so I've been recently working on the vision for my business, right? Like somebody's like, you got to have a vision. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I was like, maybe I want to impact. And I was like, what? Let's 500,000 lives. And God's like, that's not big enough.
that's right.
And I was like, oh, okay. And so it ended up right now it's at 1 million, which I'm still not sure is big enough. But if you look at the number of people that I'm going to work with and the number of lives they're going to impact with the stages they're on and the events that they have, I'm thinking 1 million might be small. Maybe it needs to be 5 million.
Maybe.
Right.
That's the other thing because God works exponentially. See, we have addition. God does exponents. And I thought about that. I said, okay, God, I want to touch 10,000 because 10,000 felt really big to me. And I said, okay, Sybil, so if you touch 10,000 individual women's lives, and each of those women touch 10,000 women, you have touched the millions God sent you to go and touch. And if you have that kind of mindset that it's not by your hand, but by your hand working through other people's hands, um, I think it was Maya Angelou who said, like, you don't know what your legacy will be.
That's right.
Yeah, that is so good. Oh, Heather. So you're a fellow speaker,
Yes.
which I fought God on this one. Like I said, I've not always been with the capital obedient. That has also not been me. God told me to go speak. I started doing other stuff. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna speak too. No, God was like, no, really, go speak. Okay, fine. So I'm speaking. Um, but to embrace being a speaker has been a journey. But you are also a fellow speaker. What do you speak about, and how does that tie into the vision?
So it's funny that you asked that because when I first started using speaking in my business. And obviously, I speak about how you can use speaking for your business. I talk about how you can use events in your business and start diving into the three pillars of success, right? Your strategy, your organization, and your profitability. And so I was like, that's really great. That's awesome. I can share my knowledge and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then God started giving me keynote speaking topics. And I was like, you want me to do what now? Oh, no, 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 no. But he gave me this vision, and I'm in a room. It's probably 1,000 women. And it's called Take the First Step. And first is an acronym for faith over fear, follow God's instructions over your intelligence. Because I'll tell you something, what he tells you to do might not align with what intellectually feels right, right? Because what 50-year-old woman quits a job with benefits, salary, and a retirement plan to start a business?
Yes, because see, I need somebody else need to hear that again because I'm in my 40s. Oh my God, you just said 50s. Oh my God. I think I think we limit God. There are people who just started their careers in their 60s. Like, don't time bound God because of how old you are. You've got enough life in you to do one more thing. You go do that one more thing.
Yep. He don't care how old you. If this is part of his plan for you, just go do
Tell
the
you all.
thing. He don't care how old you are. How old was Moses, right? Like,
Right.
who
How
cares?
old was Sarah? Look,
How old
let's
was Sarah? Exactly, right? He has a plan for it all. And so, but we get caught up in that intellectual, this doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing this, right?
yeah,
And so it's going to be radical and it's not going to fit your reality. I promise you it's not, but you have to take those baby steps if you're going to get up the staircase,
yeah.
and your test will become your testimony. And so that is going to become my signature keynote.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And now I have this vision of I'm going to be on a stage with Christy McClelland. If y'all don't know who she is, please look her up. She's amazing. I love her Bible studies. Do them all. Follow her on Instagram. She's just absolutely so powerful. And I don't know how that's going to happen, but God has a plan,
That's right.
right? And I'm going to be paid 25K for my keynote speaking engagements. Yeah, right. And then that money is going to be funding my casino over here that's going to become housing for the homeless.
I love how clear that vision is and just how firm you were with the clarity that God's given you for that. That is just so powerful. I look forward to it. Please just let me be in the room. I'm just asking, in advance. Just let me be in the room because I just think you're just so phenomenal. I want to start to try and wrap us up. This has just been such an amazing conversation, but there's one question that I like to ask everyone, and that one is, what is something you want to make sure you leave behind? Like, if you can leave nothing else for the world, what do you want to leave behind?
I hope that I hope that I can inspire people to really follow the vision that God has for their life, right? Because it's really, really easy to get caught up in the day to day. I'm going to do the grind thing. And this is just, we're all here for a purpose. And I encourage everyone listening to this to dig in, pray about it, learn what your spiritual gifts are, find out how you can use them for the kingdom. You don't have to be on big stages to make an impact. Maybe your purpose is to make an impact as an aide in a kindergarten class. If that's your gift, but use it, do it joyfully, because we all matter and we can all work together to make the world a better place. And I just hope that people look at me and be like, well, I have this big vision, but I didn't think I can do it. But if she can, maybe I can too.
Yes. That's so good. It's been such a joy. Talk about doing stuff with joy. It is always a joy to be able to interview women like you, to talk about this faith journey, this business journey, this journey called life after 40, life after 50. You said fiance. I'm like, y'all, and she is getting married. I don't know if you heard it. When is the big day?
We haven't set a date right now. My focus is getting this business consistently successful, right? Consistent profitability, consistent income. And once we get that done, then we can start setting some dates. So maybe next year, early 2027.
Love this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you, Heather. It's been such a pleasure. It's
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having this platform. Thank you for encouraging women in their faith and in their mission and in their visions. That's a gift, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Y'all, this has been another episode of Sybil After Six. If you're interested in learning more about the work that we do, Not the work that we do, the work that Heather does. Heather, how can they get in touch with you?
So I'm on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, website, phoenixcollaborations.com. Come check it out. The website's being upgraded based on my new slight pivot, if you will. But you can still book a call from there. And if you're interested in learning how to use speaking to grow yourself to make an impact, book a call. Let's talk about it. Would love to chat with you.
That's awesome. Till next time, y'all, thank you for tuning in to Simple After 6. Don't forget to hit that like or subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side.
Bye.